Fashion dolls are an entire world on their own. Everyone knows the icons, but for every Barbie or Bratz, there are dozens of dolls that disappeared from shelves. Some were ahead of their time, some were misunderstood, and some disappeared for a reason. We're going to look at forgotten, discontinued fashion doll lines to see who deserved to stay longer on the toy aisle shelves and who's better off left in the past. So now, let's get started. Starting off in 1971, Rockflowers. These dolls were created for the sake of competition. Topper Toys created Dawn and Friends as an alternative to Barbie in 1970, and the Rockflowers looked very similar to them. But while Dawn was preppy, the Rockflowers bloomed in full hippie flower power. The main three dolls were named after plants: heather, rosemary, and lilac, with a signature look of psychedelia fashion. Might they have the good stuff? Each Rockflower had their own record and a stand where the doll could spin while the song played, one of which even went to the Billboard Hot 100. It peaked at 95, but still, how many other doll songs did that? But hippie optimism was short-lived, so these dolls quickly fell out of style. Plus, their wireframe construction caused a bit of a safety concern. Mattel didn't out-earn the Dawn dolls, so in 1974, the Rockflowers withered away. Leggy. These were made by Hasbro in 1972. According to its commercial, legs are in, and they really committed to that idea because these dolls were all legs. Their legs took up 70% of the doll. Here are the good parts. The outfits are cute, the faces are cute, but the legs are sort of freaking me out. It's the Slender Man proportions. They didn't generate much of a following and were discontinued within a year. They were later released in Europe in 1975, where they still didn't catch on, and attempts at a Japanese market also flopped. But MGA recreated their design with High Glam in 2007, but they were also quickly discontinued. I guess dolls that vaguely look like insects just aren't going to turn a profit. Maxie. She is a cool girl. She had friends, a boyfriend, she goes to the mall. Maxie just lives her life, with a style leaning into a trendy, girl-next-door aesthetic. Also, the actress who played Maxie in the commercials was also the girl who got turned into a mosquito by Freddy Krueger. Maxie would later be turned into a Saturday morning cartoon made by Deke Entertainment. She's a cheerleader and A+ student by day and a detective by night who also hosts her own TV show. And she discovers she had secret magical powers. Just kidding. Mattel took notice of the concept of an everyday California girl, so Barbie announced she had a cousin named Jazzy, who had a little more family resemblance to Maxie than Barbie. She also had a boyfriend named Dude. His mom named him that. And given that Mattel stopped at nothing to be the rulers of the fashion doll market, it didn't take a mystery, get it, to see why Maxie left the shelves after 2 years. And funny enough, Jazzy disappeared around the same time. The Marvelous World of Shawnee. Shawnee. This line was designed by Kitty Black Perkins, who designed Black Barbie in 1981, and spent most of the 80s creating Barbie's iconic fashions. Shawnee was designed as an authentic African-American doll, and was joined by her friends, Nichelle and Asha. The release of these dolls were a pretty big deal. Shawnee's introduction was promoted by En Vogue. She was mentioned on late-night TV, and making her debut in princess ball gowns, Shawnee's aesthetic was glamorous and playful, with neon colors and glitzy jewels. Everything in Shawnee's world was marvelous, with the tagline, "A world of beauty, fun, and success." Shawnee spent her days living the dream, driving her gold Corvette, wearing designer-inspired outfits, and hanging out with her boyfriend, Jamal, who was first shown wearing a shiny gold suit. And unsurprisingly, Shawnee received the same criticisms Barbie had. One director at the psychology department at Howard University stated, "Like Barbie has done for years, this new doll is sending the message that if I don't look like this, I won't be accepted. Barbie is a glazed airhead, and we don't need another one of them." Shawnee dolls were discontinued after 2 years, due to lower than predicted sales. But it's possible this was caused by limited retailers selling this line. But there is a possibility that we will see more of Shawnee's Marvelous World. Amazon and Mattel are currently working on a series based on her, so we'll just have to wait and see. Peppermint Rose. These dolls were made by Mattel and American Greetings, a greeting card company. And these dolls had names that sounded like they came from a really fancy bakery: Peppermint Rose, Miss Vanilla Daisy, Lemon Drop Lily, and Merry Mint Violet. American Greetings was already behind Strawberry Shortcake, whose unique selling point was scented dolls. But Peppermint Rose took that idea to the next level. Each doll came with 2 fragrances, One floral scent and one candy scent you could mix together, put it in a bottle, and you just created your own perfume. The peppermint rose aesthetic mixed the early 90s with the Secret Garden-esque Edwardian style. The result is a cottagecore dream. With their pastel colors, flowers, ribbons, they had the perfect look for greeting cards and stickers. But they were also competing in an oversaturated market and struggled to stand out from competitors like strawberry shortcake. Because there wasn't too much fashion with these fashion dolls, Peppermint Rose missed it away within a year. What's her face? These dolls were released by Mattel in 2001, and unlike most fashion dolls, they had no face. This allowed children to create whatever character they wanted, using washable markers and stickers. You could change her makeup, expression, anything. But I don't know who named these dolls because these names are not it. Glam, sweet, hip, cool. These are not names. My scene often gets pointed as Mattel's attempt at trying to be Bratz, but I think What's-Her-Face did it first. They were both released in 2001, had 4 girls, and aimed to have a trendy aesthetic. But the What's-Her-Face concept had a problem. They were expensive to produce. Between the markers, stickers, Velcro wigs, a lot came in the box, and sales weren't amazing enough to make up for it. Some retailers felt these dolls were just taking up shelf space. So after a 2-year run, What's-Her-Face became What's-Her-Face? Surprisingly, they were parodied on Robot Chicken not too long ago, so someone remembered them. Flavas. These dolls were urban, suburban. Flavas was yet another attempt at Mattel trying to compete with Bratz, and their production went fast. They were on the shelves just 3 months after the design stage. The dolls were inspired by 2000s hip-hop fashion, during a time when mainstream hip-hop, especially the commercialized version of it, was bigger, glossier, and more influential than ever. I think Mattel realized that attracting some controversy, like the Bratz did, can work in their favor, so Flavas did push some buttons. The tagline, "What's your flavor?" certainly didn't make the parents too happy. Even having graffiti-inspired packaging was seen as controversial in 2003, and some of these concerns did go over the top. The Chicago Tribune said, "One of them looks like a DRUG dealing PIMP. No, he doesn't. He looks like Malibu's Most Wanted." Mattel took a risk, and these dolls were a commercial flop. The Wall Street Journal even described their numbers as disastrous. The problem was these dolls were doing too much while also holding back. The advertising reminded you every 5 seconds how urban these dolls were, but at the same time, the attempts to recreate hip-hop culture were criticized as being too exaggerated and manufactured, and was seen as another example of out-of-touch suits trying to be with it. In the end, Flavas were too much for the fashion doll streets, so they were discontinued within a year. Novi Stars. They come in peace and style. These dolls were created by MGA in 2012. 2 years after Bratz dolls were discontinued. These were cosmic-themed dolls, focusing on stylish aliens who crash-landed on Earth. They may look different, but they're loving it here. All of their names are puns. Ali Electric, May Talic, Nita Light. Monster High proved that there was a market for supernatural dolls. And if Monster High was fantasy, Novi Stars were sci-fi. The fashions looked like an early 2010s futuristic pop star, like Lady Gaga, especially with the heel-less, high-heel shoes. It's so anti-gravity. Each doll had their own unique gimmick. Some had liquid-filled legs, some glowed in the dark, some had metallic pieces, possibly. They had all the makings of a big new doll line, so why didn't they take off in the stratosphere? For one, they were criticized for their lack of articulation, and being on the more expensive end of retail fashion dolls. Would you want to spend more money on a doll who glows in the dark? Is it really worth it? And apparently these dolls were a catfish. On promotional material, they only showed high-end prototypes, while in real life they looked underwhelming by comparison. But I've never seen these dolls in real life, so I can't say if that's true. Lasting just over a year, the Novi Stars returned to their home planet. So given what we've looked at, which dolls were better off being discontinued, and who deserved better? First, the dolls whose time in the spotlight was always going to be limited. Leggy. I don't know what you can do with a concept that's centered on legs. It can be eye-catching on a toy aisle, but that's about it. Maxie. I'm sure she's a great detective and TV host, but otherwise, this line of dolls doesn't distinguish her from any other Valley girl. Creating a world around a cool girl who likes shopping can only take you so far. What's her face? Creative idea, but not the best execution. A doll that lets children create endless, different faces sounds like a dream, but reportedly, The markers smudged, accessories got lost, and eventually the whole thing became more maintenance than makeover. Flavas. These dolls felt too attached to a very specific moment in time, and didn't have potential to last too long. It really wanted the edge and attitude of Bratz, but was filtered through 6 corporate meetings and a PowerPoint presentation. And here's the dolls who deserved better. The Rock Flowers. I think if they adapted more to the times as the line went on and leaned less on the hippie aspect, more into the music, and maybe even had styles inspired by different genres, there could have been something here. The Marvelous World of Shawnee. This line got messed up by retailers and had all the ingredients of a legendary doll line. Great fashions, world building, and was trendy without going out of style. Shawnee's world was centered around beauty, success, friendship, and basically everything being gold-colored and fabulous. What's not to like? Instead of chasing one specific trend, Shawnee represented a fantasy, and fantasies are what keep doll brands alive. Peppermint Rose. Amazing design and concept. These dolls looked like they walked straight out of a fairy tale garden. If only the concept centered less on perfume and more on fashion packs and characters, then they could have been something more than another strawberry shortcake. Novi Stars. These dolls are so fierce. The alien theme, the campiness, the unique brand of alien fashion dolls, there was so much that could have been done. I guess the gimmick of each doll wasn't necessary. It just made them more expensive to make. If that budget went towards better articulation, higher quality hair, then there would have been more commercial appeal. Have you ever played with these dolls before? Which do you think is most deserving of a comeback? Thank you all for watching, and hope to see you all in the next one.